Hello and welcome to Claremont, Florida for the Salve, Regina University WPI softball game. Begin just a little bit after 9 a.m., or actually it's just before 9 a.m. Quite a bit of fog is starting to lift off here at the Hancock Park field. Field 1 for the Seahawks this morning, and they'll also have field 1 for the afternoon game. Salve Regina is in the blue uniforms. They are the home team. We're in the top of the first. Kelsey Borman is on the mound for the Seahawks. She has retired the first two engineer batters. A line out to third baseman Cara O'Reilly, and then a grounder to shortstop Nikki Bukowski gunned it over to Lauren Fountain for the second out. The third WPI batter reached base on a single through the right side. Now batting for the Engineers is number 21, the center fielder Nicole McDonough. She lifts one over to right field, bounces in front of Katie Napier. Her throw gets away from the cutoff, and it allows McDonough to get to second. And Katie Bumila, the first baseman for WPI, is now on third base. Second and third, two out here in the top of the first. Brings up the designated hitter for WPI, Jules Paquetti. Kelsey Borman had a start yesterday morning and gets her second start of the season this morning at 9 a.m. against WPI. Falls in the dirt, gets away from Benoit at catcher. Wild pitch allows the first run to score. WPI takes a 1-0 lead in the top of the first inning. Again, Borman retired the first two WPI batters. A line shot to Cara O'Reilly, who stretched over the left field foul line and grabbed it right in front of her third base bag. It's a 2-0 count to Paquetti. That ball's in the dirt for a full 3-0 count. There are three other fields here at Hancock Park. Salve Regina WPI is on field 1. We have a water tower out in left field. Ball low to Paquetti, loads the bases now. Correction, runners at the corners. McDonough's at third, Paquetti's at first. Brings up the third baseman for WPI, Lauren DeFelice. On deck is the daughter of one of my high school friends, Dean Gallagher. His daughter is Kristen Gallagher. She's number 14, playing left field for WPI Engineers. That high school was Warwick Vets in Rhode Island. First pitch strike to DeFelice. Shout out to Kelly Scaffarello, who is making her way to Lincoln, Nebraska today. She was a big help on our first 6 broadcasts of this week. Salve Regina, one of the few teams that has 8 games in 4 days. This is game number 7 for the Seahawks. DeFelice hits it over to Bukowski at short. She fires for her second assist of the inning. WPI scores 1 run in the top of the first. We'll come back for the Seahawk first inning after this break. Welcome back to Claremont, Florida, and not so sunshiny city right now. We've got some early morning fog. Hopefully we'll lift off before the end of this game, and certainly by the start of our 11 a.m. game. Salve, Regina is in their blue, WPI is in the red. We're in the bottom of the first. WPI leads 1-0. Leadoff hitter for the Seahawks is the center fielder Lexi Susi. Pitching for the Engineers is Claire Doolin. Doolin will be dealing for the Engineers. Susi sends that one deep. Reaches the fence on a couple of bounces. Picked up the WPI center fielder. She's got a leadoff double. Susi is fouled in the batting order by the right fielder. First time out in the field this week for number 4, Kelly Davin. She's made appearances as a designated hitter, and now she's the right fielder against WPI. Davin squares the bunt, but lets a high pitch go by. On deck is the second base today, Jenna Adine. Three straight balls from Doolin gives Davin the advantage in the count. She still puts down a nice bunt. First baseman picks it up, throws over to second baseman, covering first, and Susi reaches third safely. Sacrifice bunt. 3-4 on the putout. Senior Jenna Adine taking the plate as the first-year head coach for WPI visits the mound. Adine gathers with DiPolito off the third base coach's side. She's got the third base runner, Lexi Susi, and the on-deck batter, Genevieve Benoit, in the conference. First pitch pop up out of play. Jenna Adine watches ball one go by. It's 1-1 count. Off-speed pitch. Adine gets a good look at it and watches it cross the plate for a strike. In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Susie scores the tying run. Now Adine has a 2-2 count. Nobody on the base pass in a 1-1 game here in the bottom of the first. Adine grounds it to short. A two-hopper thrown over to first. Second out of the inning. First out was a nice sacrifice bunt by Kelly Davin that moved the leadoff hitter Susie, who had doubled, over to third. Susie scored on a wild pitch. We've got a 1-1 game here as Genevieve Benoit takes the plate. Benoit finds the hole between third and short. She reaches base for the 6th consecutive game in Florida. That brings up the third baseman, Cara O'Reilly. O'Reilly made a nice diving catch on the first batter of the game. O'Reilly lifts that pitch up high to the left fielder. She's underneath it for the final out of the bottom of the first inning. For the Seahawks, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 left, no errors. It's a 1-1 game as we head to the top of the second. here at Claremont, Florida for the top of the second inning. Just having a nice conversation with the father of the leadoff batter of this inning. Kristen Gallagher is leading off, a freshman from Coventry, Rhode Island. And her dad, Dean Gallagher, he and I went to school at Warwick Veterans. Gallagher grounds to Bukowski at short. Strong throw over to Fountain. Borman retires the first batter of the top of the second. That brings up the catcher for WPI, number 17, Lindsay Gerska. Gerska is also a freshman. She's from Revere, Mass. Both teams scored first inning runs. After two were out for WPI in the first, they put together 2 hits, and Nicole McDonough reached the plate on a wild pitch. Salve, Regina scored its run also on a wild pitch after Lexi Susi led off with a double. That ball is fouled off the leg of Gerska. Salve, Regina is playing 2 games this morning. 9 a.m. here with WPI, and on the same field at 11 a.m. with Juniata College. It's Tuesday, March 11. Happy birthday to anybody celebrating a March 11th birthday. That ball is hit through the legs of Borman, and Gerska reaches safely. Third hit of the game for the Engineers. So 1 out, 1 on for the 9th batter in the Engineer lineup, the shortstop, Hope Shevcock. Grounded to Adine at second. She gets the force with Bukowski covering the bag at second. Shevchuk reaches first on the fielder's choice. That brings the top of the order back up for the Engineers. Number 25, the right fielder, Allie LaRue. Two outs here in the top of the second inning. A 1-1 score. Engineers have 3 hits. Seahawks had 2 hits in their bottom of the first. Rue lined out to Cara O'Reilly in the top of the first. The senior right fielder hits it to right field. She's going to get at least 3 out of it. Brings home the second run for the Engineers as Shevchuk crosses the plate and LaRue lands on third base. with a triple. 2-1 WPI here in the top of the second inning.
No, you're right. No, that's right.
Ballman throws out that ball and asks for a new ball. We are streaming to you live on the Ustream.tv network. That video player is also embedded on the Salve Regina pages at www.salveathletics.com. You can follow us on Twitter at SRU Sports Info. Gavin gets underneath the final out of the inning for a putout on Detroit. Second baseman's retired. For the Engineers in that inning, 1 run on 2 hits, no runs, 1 left on base. We'll be back for the Seahawk bottom of the second after this break. We're back here in the still foggy Hancock Park Field 1 for the bottom of the second inning. Sarah Nelson, the Seahawk left fielder, bats from the left side against Claire Doolin. Nelson lifts that ball. It's going to be out of reach for the WPI third baseman, Lauren DeFelice. Nelson gets another crack at Doolin. WPI has scored a run in both the first and second innings. Salve Regina scored a run in its first inning and now has Nelson leading off the bottom of the second. She fouls that off to the left side. Salve Regina dad is coming over to retrieve the foul balls and place them in the ball return chute. That ball goes over the head of Nelson. She threw a pitch like that a couple of days ago against Haverford. Did a great job ducking out of the way. Another pitch from Doolin rides high. Nelson fouls off the third pitch of this at-bat. Salve has played 6 games thus far. Won the first, the opener against Houghton College, 13-2. The very next game against Elizabethtown College, school out of Pennsylvania. Elizabethtown won that game 7-2 against Salve. Correction, 7-0. Salve was shut out in its second game. Pair of games on Sunday were 7-2 loss. To Brandeis, and a 6-3 loss to Haverford. Nelson works a walk to lead off the bottom of the first, bottom of the second. The Sunday games were at two different sites. The 7-2 loss to Brandeis was at NTC Complex, Field 3. And then they came here to Hancock Park, and where they lost to Haverford 6-3 on Field 3 here as well. Today we're at Hancock Park, and it's Field 1. Lauren Fountain steps up for the first time today. She's got Sarah Nelson on first base and faces Doolin for the first time. Swings and misses at the first pitch. Ball's in the dirt. 1-1 count. Found from Cheshire, Connecticut. First baseman for the Seahawks. She's already made several putouts today, with assists from Bukowski at short and the Dean at second. Ball inside, 2-1 count. On deck for the Seahawks is the designated hitter, Lauren Nicholson. She's getting her second straight start. Started in yesterday's game against Alvernia. Second straight walk to open up the second inning for the Seahawks. They've got Fountain at first and Nelson at second. Which brings a visit from Whitney Goldstein in her first season as head coach of WPI. Meeting mostly with Doolin and catcher Gerska. The rest of the infielders are talking amongst themselves. WPI right fielder Shevchuk and center fielder McDonough get together. Gallagher makes a visit over into foul territory, so the game won't resume until she comes back. She's fixing a fence that popped open out in left field. So she closes the gate and will return to her position out in left field. She is just to the right of the water tower out there. Or from our view, just to the left of it. With her back to the water tower, obviously. Nicholson sees ball one into the dirt. Hops a bunt behind us, off the screen. We've got a nice metal fence protecting our camera here, as well as us behind the fence. Netting above prevents foul balls from hitting our head. That bunt is popped in the air. Nelson and Fountain both retreat to second and first base respectively. Nicholson is out for the first out. Nice charging play by the first baseman Bumila for WPI. One out here in the bottom of the second inning. 2-1 WPI leads. The shortstop Nikki Bukowski, who makes her first appearance at the plate for the Seahawks. Playing a fine shortstop already, has 3 assists on the morning. That's bunted foul. Showing bunt, lets that pitch go outside. Doolin walked the first two batters of the inning. Nelson worked a full count and then reached first. Fountain moved her over to second with the base on balls. Mickelson popped out for the first out. That bunt gets on the ground for Bukowski. The throw pulls the first baseman off the bag. Bases are loaded. Yes. That'll be a error on the pitcher throwing. Bukowski reaches safely to load the bases. And Fountain and Nelson move over to second and third respectively. Bases are loaded. For the top of the order, Lexi Susi, she led off the bottom of the first with a double to straightaway center field. Brought McDonough all the way back to the fence. And then Susi got to third on a sacrifice bunt by Davin, and then scored on a wild pitch. Davin is on deck, one out here. Bottom of the second in a 2-1 game. Off-speed pitch right in there for a strike. 0-2 count on Susi. Inside pitch. Well off the plate. Susi. Good eye on that pitch. Inside pitch again. Susi takes a cut at it, fouls it off. 2-2 count now. Doolin has worked the last 3 pitches inside on Susi. She's got the bases loaded. One out here in the bottom of the second. She gets underneath that one. It sends it over Gallagher's head. It is a grand slam home run. The first home run of the season for the Seahawks. It comes from the bat of Lexi Susi, the leadoff hitter. She touches the plate and is greeted by her teammates. Sorry for that momentary loss in transmission. I meant to press the record button on my camera and I pressed the power button. But Susi makes it a 5-2 game for the Seahawks with a grand slam over the left field fence here at Hancock Park in Clermont, Florida. Three of those runs are earned. Bukowski's run comes across unearned. So here in the bottom of the second, Salve Regina now has a 5-2 lead. And 5 matches the number of runs they've scored in the previous 5 games. Davin is caught looking. And now Adine comes up. Salve Regina scored 13 runs in their first game, 13-2, and then were shut out 3 times in the next 5 games. But they've got 5 up on the board now in the bottom of the second. 4 coming on the bat of Lexi Susi, who has a double and a grand slam home run in the game. A Dean shot to center field
That hit the ground.
is under discussion right now. Home plate umpire made an out call on the play. Head coach Jess DiPolito is going to make an argument, trying to get the attention of the base path umpire, who is ignoring her. Adine stands on first base, hoping to get an overrule. DiPolito wants to have a discussion, is calmly waiting. Sarah Ramsey waits along the first base with Adine, and it is now ruled a single to center field for Adine. WPI will retake the field here in the bottom of the second. Salve Regina has a 5-2 lead.
Good job. Good job.
Obviously, a decision has two outcomes. Favorable for one team, not favorable for the other team. So Adine is safe at first with a single to center field. Brings up Genevieve Benoit, the catcher for Salve Regina. She had a single through the left side her first at bat. She pops this one up to the catcher, who makes a play just in front of the pitcher's circle. That retires the side here in the bottom of the second inning. For the Seahawks, 4 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, 1 left on base. We'll be back for the top of the third after this break. Borman gets another comebacker. Flips over to Fountain. She retires the side 1-2-3. Seahawks head into the bottom of the third inning with a 5-2 score. Salve, Regina. Claire Doolin returns to the pitcher's circle for the bottom of the third inning. She's in a 5-2 hole, courtesy of a grand slam from Lexi Susi. Carol Rowley, the third baseman for Salve Regina, lifts the first pitch of the bottom of the third inning into right field, where Allie LaRue puts it away for the first out. Brings up the Salve Regina left fielder, Sarah Nelson. She drew a walk in the bottom of the second, came around to score on Lexi Susi's grand slam. First pitch swinging for Nelson to shallow center field. McDonough gets that catch for WPI. Quickly 2 outs here in the bottom of the third inning. Lauren Fountain, who also drew a walk in the second inning and came home on Susie's grand slam. Fouls that one off her fists. Shakes her hands out. Gets the feeling back. We've got a 5-2 score here in the bottom of the third inning. Susie scored the first run for the Seahawks, leading off the top of the bottom of the first with a double, coming around to score on a wild pitch after a Davin sacrifice bunt. And then in the bottom of the second inning, Salve Regina loaded the bases. Susie had Bukovsky, Fountain, and Nelson on the base pass, and she brought them all home with a grand slam to left field. Fountain is majoring in accounting. She's also a backup catcher for the Seahawks. Fountain gets her second walk of the morning. So she's on first with 2 outs. Lauren Nicholson, up for the second time this morning, popped up to the first baseman. Fichetti, her first at bat. First pitch in the dirt, ball. The fog is clearing on the 4 fields here at Hancock Park in Clermont, Florida. Sunshine is expected for the rest of the day. Temperatures should reach 80 degrees at some point on Tuesday, March 11. Nicholson finds the gap. She's going to send that one to the fence. Gallagher and McDonough get it. Gallagher picks it up, and it's a double for Nicholson to left center field. Fountain gets to third base, second and third, with the left-handed shortstop Bukovsky at the plate. Bukowski was bunting for a hit in her previous at-bat. She reached on an error, and she was one of the 4 runs that came home on Lexi Soucy's grand slam. We're here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. 2 outs, 2 on for Nikki Bukowski. Freshman shortstop majoring in psychology. She is from Westport, Connecticut.
Sandy.
Bukowski has already made 3 assists in this morning's game. Checks her swing. That's outside for a ball. This is the 2nd at-bat of Bukowski's collegiate career. Bukowski lifts it to shallow center. McDonough makes a good run on it for the 3rd out of the inning. For the Seahawks in the 3rd inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 2 left. Salve Regina leads 5-2. We'll be heading to the top of the 4th inning after this break. We had a power outage here at the start of the game, where the only thing that was affected were the non-battery operated devices. That included my iMac, so the camera was still running, but my iMac shut down, so the broadcast was interrupted then. And then right after Lexi Soucy's grand slam, I attempted to record the celebration at home plate, and I pushed the power button to turn that off. Lauren DeFelice leads off the top of the 4th inning with a triple. Triple to right field for the 3rd baseman. That brings up Kristen Gallagher for the Engineers of WPI. The left fielder bats from the left side. Gallagher grounded to Bukowski at short, her first at bat in the 2nd inning. Ball's outside, and Gallagher lets DeFelice stay at 3rd. Borman gets the call on the outside corner. 1-1 count to Gallagher. Strike 2. 1-2 count. Both strikes to Gallagher were on the outside corner. Gallagher pulls it foul to the right side. Salve Regina University from Newport, Rhode Island leads the Engineers of Worcester Polytechnic Institute from Worcester, Massachusetts. 5-2 here in the top of the 4th inning. Line shot. Fountain gets it at first, throws over to third. And DeFelice is back safely. First out of the inning. One out. The runner still on third. Kristen Gallagher is also the granddaughter of my former teacher at Warwick Veterans Memorial High School, George Tashin. He's also on hand cheering his daughter and his son-in-law, Dean Gallagher. At the plate for the Engineers is the catcher, Lindsay Gerska. Borman gets a strike on the outside corner to the right-handed batter, Gerska. Gerska had a second inning single. This is her second at bat against Borman. 1-2 count to the catcher. Count is even now, 2-2. Full count. Freshman catcher is from Revere, Massachusetts. Grounded a Dean at second. She was playing deep, makes the out at first. And DeFelice crosses the plate with the third run of the game for WPI. 5-3 score for the Seahawks. An RBI grounder for Gerska. So Borman's, the triple for DeFelice, comes home on the ground out by Gerska. We have a 5-3 score here in the top of the fourth inning at Hancock Park in Clermont, Florida. WPI has runs in the first, second, and now fourth innings. Salve Regina had a run in its first inning with Lexi Susie leadoff double. She came around after a Kelly Davin sacrifice bunt, scoring on a wild pitch. And then Susie brought home 4 runs in the second inning with a grand slam. Borman takes the Shevchuk bouncer and throws it to Fountain at first for the final out of the top of the fourth. Salve Regina leads 5-3 and will be coming to bat in the bottom of the fourth. back here in Claremont, Florida, where the star of the game, Lexi Susie, is at the plate for the third time. She's doubled in the first inning, came around to score Salve Regina's first run, and then hit a second inning grand slam. And Salve currently has a 5-3 lead here in the bottom of the fourth inning against WPI. The Engineers have had single runs in the first, second, and fourth innings. Salve Regina scored its 5 runs in the first and second innings. New pitcher for WPI. She's a freshman from Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, Caroline Medino. She takes over for starter Claire Doolin, who pitched 3 innings and allowed 5 runs, 4 earned. Susie is the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the fourth inning. Foul tip, gets away from the catcher. I guess there was no tip on it, otherwise it would have been a foul ball. So Susie swung and missed, but reaches on the wild pitch or pass ball. Be a pass ball on the Engineer catcher. Susie takes a big jump off of first base, and the catcher eyes her back to the bag. It's a strikeout for Medino in her first batter she's facing here, but Susie reaches safely. No outs. Davin at the plate.
Come on, Kelly.
Kelly Davin is a sophomore marketing major from Northbridge, Massachusetts. She hits a ball to the right center gap, loved by McDonough. She throws it into second, but it gets Susie to third safely, and Davin is at first with a 1 out. Correction, no out, single. Runners at the corners now. The senior second baseman Jenna Adine is at the plate. Adine has a single and a grounder to short in this game. She watches Medina's offering inside for a strike, but that allows Davin to steal second. Throw down to third. Susie gets back safely.
I wasn't paying attention at first.
Swing and a miss for Adine. It's an 0-2 count. Runners at second and third. Davin on the second bag. Susie on the third bag. Adine at the plate. Pitch for Medina. Fouled it off the plate. Still 0-2. Tapper back to Medina at the mound. She's got Susie in a rundown. 1-2 to 5, and she's safe. So it'll be a fielder's choice. No out on the play. Adine reaches safely to load the bases.
Hey, 2-1, your turn, kid. Come on, Chief. Girls, come on.
Susie came about halfway after Medina picked up the ball. Medina looked at her, threw to the catcher, which was the wise move, and And then the catcher got it back to the third baseman covering the bag. DeFelice applied the tag, but Susie slid under it. Genevieve Benoit comes up with the bases loaded. Second time today the Seahawks have had the bases loaded.
Oh my gosh, my father had a compost pile that he just kicked in. Not that long ago. It was like the first season where he's
Grounder foul.
he's got his bag.
Thankfully it hops over the head of head coach Jessica DiPolito.
Absolutely.
She made a little duck to the right side. Allowed her to get closer to Susie and give her some instructions. Benoit's got the bases loaded here in the bottom of the fourth inning. 5-3 Salve Regina lead over WPI. Grounder in the dirt. Stopped by the freshman catcher Gurska. 3-1 count to Benoit. Ball comes over from field 4. And Katie Bumila puts it out of play. We can resume play here with the bases loaded for Genevieve Benoit, sophomore catcher for the Seahawks from Swampscott, Massachusetts. She draws the bases loaded walk, and now a 6-3 lead for Salve Regina as Susie crosses the plate and gets a high five from her classmate Cara O'Reilly.
Come on, Kara.
She's warmed up.
Dip, yep.
Ball comes in from field 2 and is put out of play by the DeFelice at third base. Ball outside to O'Reilly. She has 2 balls reaching the outfield in this game, a fly out to left and a fly out to right. Now a grounder to the second baseman. She comes home. Ball throw is high. Reaches safely. Davin scores the 7th run for the Seahawks. Bases are still loaded. No outs here for Sarah Nelson. Nelson grounds back to the plate. Medino throws to Gurska for the putout on Adine. Nelson reached safely at first, so the fielder's choice is 1-2. Adine out at home plate. O'Reilly moves to second. Benoit over to third for Lauren Fountain. 7-3 score here in the bottom of the fourth. 1 out. Foster just made it to plate from Medino to Gurska. She faces Fountain with the bases loaded. Nelson at first, O'Reilly at second, Benoit at third. Infield is playing in the 1-out situation. Lauren Nicholson's on deck. She retrieves the foul ball off of Fountain's bat. They get it back to Medino on the circle. Medino gets the outside corner for a call, strike 3 on Lauren Fountain. There's 2 outs here. Nicholson gets to see the bases loaded. She had a double in her last at-bat. Grounds that one to third. DeFelice makes the play at the bag, unassisted. Fielder's choice for Nicholson will end the inning. Salve scores 2 in the frame. and increases its lead to 7-3 over the Engineers. And we'll be back with the top of the 5th inning after this break. We're back here for the top of the 5th inning in a softball game between two teams from New England. Salve, Virginia University is the home team in the blue uniforms, and WPI is the away team in the red tops and gray bottoms. First pitch for Borman in the top of the 5th is a strike. To the top of the order, Ali LaRue, a right fielder for WPI. Both runs the Seahawks scored in their 4th frame were unearned. In consultation with the WPI Sports Information Director, Rusty Egan, we both agreed on a charging an E4 on a throw to home plate on a fielder's choice grounder. So Kelly Davin's run, the 2nd run of the inning for Salve, Regina, was unearned against the freshman pitcher Medino. LaRue had a triple in her last at-bat. That came off Borman in the 2nd inning. She grounds this one to Bukowski, gloves it over to Fountain for the first out of the 5th inning. That brings up the second baseman, Detroya. Jacqueline Detroya is from Andover, Massachusetts. She is a sophomore. Back to Borman at the circle. She overhands it to Fountain. Typically, Kelsey Borman is underhanding it to the first base bag, but overhand gets it done as well. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th for Katie Bumilla, the first baseman for the Engineers. Bumiller grounds it to Cara O'Reilly across the diamond to Fountain. A 1-2-3 inning for Borman. We've finished 4.5 innings here at Claremont, Florida. Salve Regina leads 7-3. Back here in now sunny Claremont, Florida. Hancock Park, field 1. Bukowski's casting a shadow just in front of the plate. She's the leadoff batter here in the bottom of the 5th inning for the Seahawks. Facing the Engineers' second pitcher, Caroline Medino. Bukowski is the 9th batter in the Seahawk order in this morning's game, the 9 a.m. start. She walks up on the pitch. She reached base on an error in the 2nd inning, came around on Lexi Soucy's grand slam, and then flew out to McDonough in center field in her 2nd at bat. Here in her 3rd at bat, she has a full count. Leading off the bottom of the 5th. Swings at it, fouls it off. Stays alive with a full count. Kelly Scaffarello and I both made picks on who would hit the first home run for the Seahawks in 2014.
Yes.
Bukowski singles up the middle to lead off the 5th inning for the Seahawks. That is her first collegiate hit. That brings up Lexi Soucy. Lexi Soucy. A 2nd inning grand slam. Gives us that current margin that we now have, 7-3. Soucy, a nursing major from northeastern Massachusetts. She scored 2 runs in this game and has driven in 4. She now has Bukowski on first. In the Scaffarello-Habashore debate on who would hit the first home run, Scaffarello went with Fountain, freshman first baseman, and Habashore went with senior Marissa Simpson. Neither was the case, as today's game on March 11th, a 9 a.m. start against WPI, Lexi Soucy, a freshman center fielder, hit a grand slam in the 2nd inning. We now have a 7-3 lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Bukowski on first, no outs. Soucy's grounder gets by 2nd base. Bukowski going for 3rd base. She slides. She's in safely. And Soucy reaches 2nd base. That brings up Kelly Davin with runners at 2nd and 3rd.
Isn't this an exciting game?
Soucy's on 2nd. Bukowski's on 3rd. Kelly Davin, the right fielder, is at the plate. Davin had her base hit in the 4th inning. We're here in the bottom of the 5th. 7-3 game. No outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Kelly Davin batting with 2 on. Swings over an off-speed pitch from Medino. Davin now has a full count after a 3-0. She hits the 3-2 pitch to the right side. Detroit throws over to Bemiller at first for the force out on Davin, but she gets an RBI single out of it. I mean, an RBI ground out of it. Bukowski scores the 8th run for the Seahawks, and Susie's over to third. Adine promptly brings home the 9th run of the game for the Salve Regina. Susie crosses the plate, and Adine has a single through the left side. 9-3 score. Here in the bottom of the 5th inning, Genevieve Benoit.
It's 9-3, huh? Thank you.
At the plate for the Seahawks. Adine's single was her 2nd of the game. First RBI. Benoit has a single and a walk in her 3 at-bats. And she has the year's 2nd home run. That home run went to right field. She is greeted at the plate by her happy teammates as she makes it an 11-3 game here in the bottom of the 5th inning. That may be a final. An 8-run lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning for the Seahawks. Benoit's 2-run homer brings home Adine and Benoit and ends the game for Salve Regina over WPI.
Tell him you want to get up there.
It is 10:18, so the game lasted an hour and 18 minutes. Salve Regina finishes with an 11-3 victory over the Engineers of WPI. Starting pitcher Claire Doolin takes the loss for the Engineers, and Kelsey Borman earns her first collegiate win. We'll be back with a wrap-up after this break. Thank you for your patience as we prepare a wrap-up for this morning's 9 a.m. game, where the Seahawks have a walk-off win thanks to the bat of Genevieve Benoit. A two-run homer here in the bottom of the fifth inning brought home Jenna Adine, who had reached on her second hit of the game. Benoit's home run was her first of the season. It made a winner out of starter Kelsey Borman. She is 1-1 for Borman on the game. She threw 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, only allowed 1 walk, didn't have a strikeout in the game. 1 wild pitch led to a run. That came in the first inning for WPI. WPI took the 1-0 lead. WPI actually had a 2-1 lead after 1.5 innings before the second inning arrived, and Lexi Susie belted the first home run of the year for the Seahawks. That made it a 5-2 game. In the fourth inning, WPI closed the gap to 5-3 before Salve Regina scored 2 in their fourth inning, and then 4 in the fifth. Genevieve Benoit put it away with her home run to left field. At the plate for the Seahawks, we'll bring that up by pressing H on our keyboard. Leadoff hitter Lexi Susie had 3 hits, a double, a single, and a grand slam home run. She scored 4 runs, had 4 RBI. Kelly Davin went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. She also had a sacrifice bunt. Jenna Adine went 2 for 4 with 1 run and 1 RBI. Genevieve Benoit finished 2 for 3 with a run scored, for a home run, and 3 RBI. Cara O'Reilly had an RBI on a ground out. Sarah Nelson finished 0-2. Lauren Fountain 0-1 with a run scored. Lauren Nicholson went 1 for 3 on the day. She had a double. Nikki Bukowski, in her first chances at the plate, went 1 for 3. She also had 2 runs scored, all helping Kelsey Borman on the mound, who made several plays out in the field. Borman's infield and outfield was tremendous for the Seahawks today. And like Kelly Scaffarella had talked about on our earlier broadcast, Jess DiPolito was looking for consistency in the defense, and they provided that for Kelsey Borman today. Kelsey improves to 1-1 in the season. Salve Regina improves to 2-5 overall. WPI falls to 3-2. They were 3-1 coming into today's game with the Seahawks. Salve Regina is a 11-3 winner today over WPI. The Seahawks finished the game in 1 hour and 20 minutes. It started just prior to 9 a.m. So the early start helped us get the early finish. The sun is shining out now. We'll be coming back after this broadcast. We thank you for listening and watching. Thanks to Lynn, Taylor, and Kiernan for letting me do what I do. Thanks to Kelly Scaffarella for her help in setting up these broadcasts over the previous 6 games. And now I'm going solo on the last 2 before I head to Fort Myers, Florida to join Salve Regina baseball. Seahawk baseball is off today. They dropped a 6-3 decision to the Crusaders of Alvernia College on the same day that Salve Regina softball was playing Alvernia. While the field gets prepared for Salve Regina's Game 2, they'll be facing Juniata College at 11 a.m. We've got a half hour to go before that broadcast, so we're going to end this broadcast and say thank you to everybody out there. Thanks for listening and watching. Continue tweeting at SRU Sports Info, and hope you enjoyed this broadcast and a Seahawk victory, 11-3 over WPI. We'll be back broadcasting at 5 of 11 with the Juniata and Salve Regina softball game.